Okay, so before we actually get into building this assistant, let's just quickly run through what we're going to cover in this. First of all, I'm going to go through setting up your assistant in Vapi, and there's a prompt template on the website, so you can download this, customize it for your own business, and plug it directly straight into Vapi. Next, we're going to look at adding a custom knowledge base, and the knowledge base is really like the brain of your assistant. You give it the information that it needs to answer customer questions effectively. So we'll look at how to set that up. Next, we're going to look at creating tools with Make.com. And I've also provided the blueprints for this, so you'll be able to download them again on the website, import them, and then just customize a few pieces for your own solution. But Make.com, really easy tool to use, so we'll look at that in a little bit of detail as well. Next, we're going to look at fine-tuning your assistant, and by this I mean the settings that really take your assistant to the next level, that stop it sounding very awkward and robotic and make it sound very natural, like a normal conversation. So that's a really important part, and that's really where you take your AI assistant from something that's a nice thing to something that's actually really useful and provides a good experience for customers. Okay, so once you've downloaded your prompts, you're going to have a template that looks like this. First thing is, anywhere where you see red, these are the variables that I've left open for you to be able to customize this for your own business or for the client that you're working with. So anywhere where you see red, you can go through the prompt and just input the different values. So for here, your company name, for example, here, the details on the services you provide. So anywhere where you see red, you can just customize this for your own business or for your own solution. So for anyone that's already quite comfortable with prompts, feel free to take this, customize it, and maybe skip forward to the next section where we're actually building this in Vapi. But for everyone else, I think it's good to talk through this in detail. I'll go through each element of the prompt. We can look at how we're guiding the AI's behavior and the conversation. And I think it's really useful to understand this, not just for this solution that you're building now, but for any AI agent that you want to build. You'll understand the different elements and how they all really fit together. So to start, you can see we have these different headings along the left here, and this is really just the structure of the prompt. And this is a really great template to follow for any AI agent you're building, or even if you're just prompting ChatGPT. By giving it these different headings, you're breaking it down into kind of manageable chunks for the AI to understand. And this sort of structure gives you a lot more control over the AI's behavior. So to start, we have the role. This is just a very high level overview of what it's going to be doing. So here you can see we have, you are an AI receptionist for company name. Company name provides, and then you fill in the details of the service you provide. Next, we're going to give it a description of its task. So just high level, this is what you're going to be doing. Your task is to assist callers by handling customer inquiries, setting up appointments, gathering information for callbacks, and then connecting them to the appropriate team member if available. So this is all the responsibilities that you can imagine a receptionist might have. And also you can kind of get a sense of how useful this will be when it's built out. If a small business has a limited amount of team members, if you have an AI that can take incoming calls and answer a lot of those frequently asked questions, set up meetings, transfer to team members, collect information for callbacks, you're really taking a huge amount of pressure off a small team and freeing up a lot of the time. So this, you can see, is like a really powerful solution to be able to implement into your own business or for a client that you're working with. So next, we're looking at specific instructions, and we're getting a little bit more detailed into how we want the AI to work. The first element we're going to look at here is a conditional block, and this is a really great way to guide the conversation and guide the behavior of the AI based on what the user says or does. So we'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail further down. But conditional blocks are a really powerful way to manage conversation flows. Next is variables, and basically these are just ways to substitute information that the caller has provided, for example, their name or company name. We can start to insert that back into the conversation to make it feel a little bit more like a natural conversation. Next, piece here is we're just telling the AI to use the knowledge base to guide responses to ensure they're providing accurate and comprehensive answers. So the knowledge base is kind of like the brain of the AI, and we'll upload documents. I'll show you how to build this out shortly, but we're basically uploading company documents that the AI can refer to, retrieve information, and then use them in its answers to provide more accurate answers. So knowledge base is an extremely useful part of the AI that we're going to be building. Next, we just have smaller details, but important ones to make the AI feel natural and to make it a good user experience. So the first one here is ask one question at a time and wait for the caller's response before proceeding. We don't want a situation where we're saying, I need your name, I need your phone number, I need your company name, I need this. It becomes a little bit overwhelming and it's not a very great user experience. So one question at a time, like a normal conversation would happen. Use a professional but friendly tone throughout the conversation. You can feel free to change this up if you want to have maybe a more witty AI, or if you want kind of a different personality. You can just really simply write that instruction in here, which is really great. Next, we're saying be concise and clear. This is more because we're in a phone conversation and we don't want the AI to be responding with really long-winded answers, providing too much information when it's not needed. So just a quick prompt to say, be concise and clear in your answers. And next, kind of a fallback situation. So if the caller's inquiry is beyond your capabilities, inform them that you'll pass it on to a member of the team who will be in touch. So we don't want the AI to maybe go off script or provide something that's inaccurate. If it doesn't know the answer, we'll just tell the person that we don't know, and a member of the team can be in touch. The next element here is context. So we want the AI to have some context to the scenario and the situation that it's involved in. So here we're just writing simply, you're in a phone conversation with a client who is looking for services. So you'll input your services here. And then company name is based in Berlin. I've just added this as an example. And the reason we're giving it the time zone here is because this is going to be an important part of the prompt. And you'll see when we get into the conversation steps why that is. So conversation steps is really the paths in the conversation that we want the AI to follow. And this is where we lay it out step by step, detailed instructions on how we wanted to interact with the user and then how we wanted to respond based on what the user says in return. So first of all, we're going to greet the caller. And next we're going to get into check the current time and opening hours. Now, why do you want to do checking the current time and opening hours? Well, if you're an AI, especially if you're a receptionist, you're going to be involved with booking appointments and transferring calls. So it's important for the AI to be able to understand what time it is, and we're also going to give it the opening hours. So we don't want it to transfer calls when it's outside office hours. So if the team is offline, it's like the middle of the night, you don't want to be transferring a call directly through to the team. So we're going to give the AI access to the time, and we're also going to tell it these are the office hours, and based on the office hours, either do this if we're open or do this if we're closed. So you can see here, check the current time and opening hours. The current universal time is now, and you see this variable, this double curly bracket now. We're telling the AI that this is the current time, but this is universal time. The Vapi platform, I found that this is the simplest way to give it the time, but it's going to pick up universal time. It's not going to pick up your local time. So to do that, we just need to add another line basically to guide the AI to convert universal time to whatever time zone you're in. So you can see here, for Berlin time, I've said to convert universal time to Central European time, add 1 hour, and to get Central European time. So wherever you're based, you can do a quick calculation and just find out where you are plus or minus based on universal time. It's, I guess, a roundabout way of just giving the AI the accurate time rather than trying to set up a tool that it has to call and check what current time it is. So This maybe takes a little bit of figuring out based on your own time zone, but it's a simple way just to give the AI access to the current time. So once it's checked the current time, we're saying this is the opening hours, so 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. And here's where you can see we're getting into our first conditional block. So if it's within office hours, say thank you name, so how can I help? If it's outside of office hours, we're going to respond differently. So inform the caller just to let you know we're currently closed, but I can still assist you with certain tasks or appointment booking. So how can I help you? So that's our first conditional block, and we've already allowed the AI to understand if it's within office hours or outside of office hours, and then respond in different ways. So next, after we've greeted the caller, we're going to get into handling their actual requests. So the first one here is if the caller requests an appointment, we're going to ask for the following pieces of information and ask for one item at a time. So name, phone number, and reason for the appointment. And then we're telling the AI use the booking link function to send them a booking link via SMS. And then inform the caller, I've sent you the booking link to book an appointment. Please follow the link and I'll stay on the line. So we're going to look at tools in detail in a few minutes, but for now, basically we're saying to the AI, if someone needs an appointment, collect this information and then use this function to send them a booking link. Next, we're going to get into looking at call transfers. So if the caller requests to speak with Anna or David, feel free to change this to whatever you want, marketing department, sales department, whatever you need. We're going to say check the current time. We're just reminding it to make sure it's within office hours. And if it's within office hours, confirm that they want to speak with name, then check the availability, attempt to transfer the call using the transfer call function, and then inform the caller, I'm transferring you now to name, please hold. Here we just have a fallback situation. So if name is not available, what would a receptionist usually do? They'd probably offer to take a message. So it looks like name is currently unavailable. Would you like to leave a message for them? So this is basically just handling the scenario, like if it's within office hours, attempt to transfer the call, and if the call goes through, great. If not, we're going to offer to take a message. If they agree to take a message, this is the information we're going to collect. So we have name, phone number, and message details, and then we just inform the caller, thank you, I passed along your message. Someone will get back to you shortly. So this might look like a lot, but basically we're just using different conditional blocks for different scenarios. So if this, and we're asking the AI to respond in different ways. So it may look like a lot of detail, but basically we're just giving it different conversation paths. So what if someone calls and it's outside of office hours? They've asked to be transferred to a team, but obviously the team's not online. So if it's outside of office hours, inform the caller, I'm sorry, our team is currently unavailable as we're outside of office hours. Would you like to leave a message for them so I can get them to call you back? Again, if they agree, we're just repeating the same thing. We're going to collect their name, phone number, and the message details, and we'll inform the person that the team member will get back to them shortly. So we have three functions already listed there. We have a booking link via SMS, we have a call transfer, and we also have this forward message. So you don't need to worry about those tools just yet. We're going to get into building them in the next step, but we're basically just telling the AI that these are the available functions and we're telling them when to use them. Finally, closing the call, we're just thanking the caller for contacting company name and just saying have a great day. Here again, we're just telling the AI that these are the available functions or tools that you have at your disposal. So we have booking link, sends an SMS booking link to the caller. We have the transfer call, and we're just giving it some extra details on when and when not to use this function, and then forward a message. So if someone wants to leave a message for someone on the team, use this function and we'll take a message for them. And then very last piece on the prompt, these are just notes, smaller details like little reminders or ways that you want the AI to respond or act. So do not repeat the current time to the caller. This is something that I found when we were looking at this step in a prompt where we're checking the current time and opening hours. The AI would actually respond and tell the caller what time it was, which obviously we don't need to do, it's not necessary. So I've just added a note here, don't repeat the current time to the caller. And I think this is a really great example of how powerful these tools are. You can imagine in a different scenario, this might have needed like a line of code or a whole bunch of code to tell the system how to respond to fix this sort of bug. For us, we're writing plain instructions, as easy as this, telling the AI that, no, don't do this, we want you to do this. So I think when people say the barriers are down for everyone to get involved in AI, this is a perfect example of what that is. We don't need to do complex tasks or write lines of code. We can basically just write it in plain English. Next, we're just saying, ensure it's always within office hours before attempting to transfer a call. Again, a reminder, sometimes the AI can respond or just do things that you haven't asked it to do. So this is kind of here like a reminder. Again, we're mentioning the knowledge base here. So to enhance your responses, ensure you provide the most accurate information, use the knowledge base. Maintain a professionalism and be friendly and helpful. And then finally, ensure that all collected information is handled correctly and confidentially and forwarded to the team members promptly. So that is the prompt. Everything there is completely customizable to your own business or your own solution. So once you have inputted all the values for your own business where you see red here, you can take this over, and now we're going to look at actually building this out in Vapi. Okay, so the next step, what you want to do is head over to vapi.ai, create a new account. It's free to sign up, so you don't need to import or add your credit card details or anything like that. But sign up to Vapi, and then you're going to arrive at a platform that looks like this. So you can see here under assistants, I've just created a new assistant, given it a name, and then I basically just pasted in the prompt that we've just gone through into the section here, system prompt. So I've replaced any of the areas marked in red, just adding my own business details. And apart from that, the prompt is the exact same that we've just gone through. So this is the prompt. And the first thing we're going to look at now is actually adding the knowledge base. We've already talked about what it is and why it's useful, helping the AI to answer questions that the customers may ask. We've already included it in our prompt, but how do we actually add it to our assistant? So what you want to do first is head over to Files, and you can see here you can upload different documents in PDF or JPEG format. So first thing is just choose a file. For this example, I've just used an FAQs, so whatever questions that customers frequently ask, I'm just going to have a document listing all of them that the AI can refer to. So once you've uploaded the document, just click upload like this, and you can see here you can start to build out your knowledge base. Now, a good way to do this would be to have different documents for perhaps your company overview, something on your prices and the different products that you offer, your FAQs, and basically any information that you want the AI to be able to retrieve and respond with, you can add it here. The main thing with your knowledge base is to make it clear, make it structured, and make it sort of concise. You want the AI to be able to access this information quickly, find what it's looking for, and then respond with the relevant information. You don't want to have a big long document with complicated information or in an unstructured way. It's just going to take the AI longer to find the relevant information. But once you've added your files here, you can go back to your assistant. And the one thing you just need to remember to do now is just to select the files that you want to give it access to. So make sure to select them here, and it's already included in our prompt, so we're good to go. If you want to now, you've basically got a fully functioning AI assistant, so you can click publish, and then at the very top here you can click and start to talk to your assistant through the web browser. You can start to ask it questions, see how it's responding from the information that you've provided with. Obviously we haven't built the tools yet, but you have a demo that you can already start to engage with and see how it's responding. Okay, so we've already created our assistant in Vapi, we've added our prompt, and we've also added our knowledge base. So next, what we're going to be doing is moving on to tools. And to do this, we're going to be using make.com. Now, if the knowledge base is like the brain of your assistant, you can think of tools as the arms. This is actually giving your AI the ability to take action and to complete tasks on its own. So this is where you really bring your AI to life. The blueprints for this are included on the website, so if you haven't done already, you can download those now. There's 2 of them there. And there's actually 3 tools that we're going to be creating for this assistant. So sending a booking link via SMS, call transfers, and then taking a message. Now, you might be wondering, why are we sending a booking link via SMS? Why not just connect it directly to our calendar, allow the AI to make appointments directly in our calendar? I've tried that approach. I've seen different tutorials on people building that out, and I've tried it for myself. To be honest, there's a lot of room for error there. If you think about what needs to happen in that scenario, the AI needs to ask for the different details, it needs to ask for their email address, and if the AI gets even one letter wrong, that invite is gone to the wrong calendar. And it's a pretty tricky user experience to get right. You need to get into spelling out their email address, and there's a lot of back and forth. And to be honest, this is so much more straightforward. Yes, you're asking the user to complete their booking on their own, but it's very streamlined. They receive the booking link on the call, and they can just select an appointment time that suits them. So highly recommend this approach. It's a much better user experience, and you just don't want to get into the difficulty of looking up appointment slots in your calendar, trying to spell out your email address, email booking links going to the wrong people. Trust me, this is the best way. In order to actually build out these tools, we're going to be using make.com. And again, make.com is a free tool, so you can sign up, create a free account. Once you're logged in and your account is set up, what you want to do is just click on create a new scenario. So once you're in the scenario, what you want to do is click on more and import blueprint, and then you're going to select the file for SMS booking links. So now your tool is built out, and I'll just tell you what these different modules are. Your webhook is basically just a trigger. It's the starting point that allows the series of actions to kick off. Next, you have Twilio, which is a SMS service that we're going to use to send a text message. This is a webhook response, so basically just sending the message back to the AI that the SMS was sent correctly. And then this Gmail step, send an email, is basically just a fallback. So we're sending the link for someone to book the appointment on their own, but we also want to capture that information and forward it to a team member just in case they don't actually complete the booking. We'll have their information captured, and we can always follow up with them at a later point. So what you want to do to start here is click on your webhook module, and you can see here I've already given mine a name, but you're going to name yours, and then you're going to select this link. So this is your starting point, and we need this in Vapi. So once you've named it, you can just click copy address to clipboard and head back over to Vapi. So once you're here in Vapi, what you want to do is you're back in your dashboard, and you're going to click on tools, and you're going to click on new tool. Now here you can see you have custom tool, make, or go high level. We're using make, so we can just select this option. And this server URL is basically just a URL that we've pulled from make. So paste that directly in there, click save, and then just click next. So here you're going to actually tell the AI what properties you wanted to capture and what properties you're going to be able to send to the other modules in the scenario. So the first one here, we're going to do name. And just give this a description. So client's name. Next, we're going to do phone number, because we're going to need to send them a text. So save that. And then the final one we're going to do is appointment reason. So just to have a little bit more context on why they're scheduling the appointment. we're going to capture that as well. So now we have our properties listed out. We can click next. And we're just going to give this a name. So you'll remember in the prompt, the name that we gave it was booking link, spelled like this. So we're going to keep that name the same. And we're going to give this a description so the AI can understand when to use it. So use this tool. Next, what we want to do is go back to your assistant, and you're going to go over to functions, and under tools here you're going to select booking link. So you want to actually give your AI assistant access to this tool, and once you do that, click publish. So the next step to actually pass some information from your assistant through the tool, what you want to do is actually talk with your assistant, request an appointment, and then give it the details to complete the action. So before you do that, just head back over to Make and save your scenario and make sure it's turned on. So you want to actually pass the information through this tool. So make sure your scenario is turned on, then actually call your assistant, ask for an appointment, give it the details, and it will run through the scenario. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so once you've called your assistant and requested an appointment, you'll see that it's actually started to pass some information from Vapi into your webhook and into the different stages of your tool. So don't worry if you're getting some error messages here, that's normal. We haven't set up all the fields of information yet, but we just needed to get some information through so we can start to add it to the different steps. So before we get to Twilio, what you're going to need for this step is to buy a phone number. I think it costs like $10 to buy a phone number, and you can do it basically on twilio.com, buy a phone number and make sure it has SMS enabled. And then what you're going to need to do is take this account SID and the auth token and your phone number, and they're the three pieces of information that you'll need for creating this text. Now, I'm not going to go through buying the phone number and the details involved there, but that could be maybe a separate video. But basically what you'll do is you'll create your Twilio connection by adding those account SID and auth token, and then you're going to paste the phone number that you bought in here. Now next, in the to field, so who we're actually sending this text to, we obviously want the person's phone number. So in the call that you just made, you pass some information through, and you can see by expanding this here under tool calls, function, arguments, we have phone. So that's basically the piece, and you can just click on it to add it in. I've already added it in, so we can just take that back out. But we're passing the information from that call in here. So this is a dynamic variable. So that's the to field filled in, and for the message, we're going to create a message body, and I've just added a sample body here. So finish booking your appointment here, and then a link to my Calendly. So Calendly also free to set up. So the only element you really need to buy for this tool is a Twilio number, which I think is $10 or so. So that's Twilio. Once that's done, we can close that out. The webhook you can see is just the status 200, so that's just a message to say that it was sent correctly. And then for the Gmail, send the Gmail account. You can also swap this out for Outlook if you want, basically the same. You're going to connect your email account, and this to field is actually to you or to someone on your team. So we're actually sending the caller's information to someone on the team. So here I've just added my email address. I've added a subject line, new appointment request, and then I've just added the different details. So new appointment request, I've sent them the booking link via SMS. You can see these line breaks are basically just a formatting, HTML formatting to break up the text in the email. And then I've just said, here are the details, or here are their details. Name, again, I've just mapped name from down here. Then phone number, again we looked at phone number just a second ago, and then I've added in the reason for the appointment. So to find these, you just need to basically find under function, you'll see name, phone number, and appointment reason there. Okay, so that's your first tool set up. Basically now the tool on Make, these different steps are connected to your assistant, and your assistant can use this tool to send SMS booking links. Okay, so now we've set up our first tool, sending a booking link via SMS with Make. The next one we're going to move on to and create right now is call transfers. So if you remember, we specified 2 team members, Anna and David. So we want to do multiple transfers. If you just need to do one call transfer, you just want to be able to transfer to one member of the team, then you can very easily do that here through forwarding phone number. So you can basically just add a phone number here, and the next steps you can completely skip. If you want to do one transfer, this is the easiest way to do it. But if you want to do multiple, we need to look at a different tool. And currently this is not supported through Vapi's dashboard. So what we need to do is actually create a tool and post it through the Vapi API. Okay, so to do multiple call transfers, we need to actually take this JSON script, which I've taken directly from the Vapi documentation. And I know this can look pretty intimidating. I've definitely been there, but all you need to do is customize a few elements of this and send it through the API to get this to work. So don't be put off when you're looking at this. It's definitely manageable. I think it just takes a little bit of attention, but it's actually easier than you would expect. So just to start, we're going to take all of this, and this script is as well linked on the website, so you can download it there. And what we're going to do is go to a tool called Postman. And Postman is a free tool, so you can sign up for free. And what you want to do is click on create a new request. So once you're in here, what you want to do is change this to post. You're going to go to body, raw, and JSON. So once that's all selected, you can paste that script in here. And what we're going to do now is just go through this. So you can see we have the transfer call type. This is the name of the tool. We have the different phone numbers listed here, and we have the different messages that the AI will respond with when it's transferring the call. So you can see we have one here, a second here, and a third here. So basically all we need to do is change the name of the person that we're transferring it to. You can leave it as department A or marketing department or the name of the team member. For my example, I called my team member Anna. So I'm just going to replace this with Anna. The phone number I'm just going to leave as the example for now, because I obviously don't have a phone number for Anna. So when you're customizing this, obviously you would replace this with the number of the team member. Then for the second team member, update the phone number here, and then update the message here. So my second person on my team, I called David. So that's that one done. And then if you wanted to have a third example, all you would do is update the phone number here, update the message here. But for my team, I only wanted 2 team members, so I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so this is just an instruction that Vapi is using to instruct the AI on how to use the tool. So do not use this function, or use this function to transfer a call. Only use it when explicitly instructed to. Do not call this function unless you're instructed to. So you can leave that the same. The only other thing that you'll need to update here is the phone numbers. So the phone number for the first team member, second team member. Obviously we're only going with 2. So we're just going to delete this out of here. And then you also need to just update the messages. So again, we're going to just update Anna here. You would have to update her number for the second person, for David. Again, David, message and phone number. And then obviously for the third person, we are just removing them. So let me just take this out. Okay, so once you've edited your string, it takes a little bit of, I guess, attention and focus just to find the right values and update them. But basically all you're doing is taking the script, replacing the numbers, and then replacing the number or the message that the AI responds to when it's passing the function. So what you need to do next, you've already selected post, you've selected body, raw, JSON. You basically need to send this to Vapi via the API. So to do that, basically just copy this link, and that's going to go in here, and then under authorization what you need to do is select bearer token, and from here what you need to do is go back to Vapi under your dashboard, and move this out of the way. You need to go to your API keys. So basically this will allow you to connect it to your own assistant through the API. So basically what you want to do is select your private key. You can copy that here. Okay, so after quite a bit of back and forth, I got the script to work. Basically there were some errors in this script. So put it into ChatGPT, asked it to help me out to identify the issues and fix the syntax errors, and then tried to repost, and it went through. You can see 201 created. So hopefully now our tool is present in, if we go back to our assistant and go to tools, yeah, you can see transfer call is now here, it's created. So it's been set up through the API and all the information has been passed directly that way rather than the other way that we set up the transfer or the booking link before. Okay, so sending a booking link is done. That tool is complete. Call transfers we've just complete, and the last one we need to do now is taking a message. So let's do this. To create this tool, we're going to go back to make.com and you're going to click create a new scenario, similar to what we did before. And this is where you're going to upload the second JSON blueprint. So this one is quite simple. It's again starting off with a webhook. Then we just have a router that's sending actions in different orders. And then we just have some filters in between. So to start, let's just set up our webhook. Let's create this webhook and give it a name. Save. And let's copy this webhook link. So to create this final tool, let's head back over to Vapi. Click on New Tool. Again, we're going to select Make, and we're going to paste that webhook URL directly in here. Click Save, and then click Next. So the different property names that we want to use this time are going to be name, and click Next. So the different property names that we want to use this time are going to be name, color's name, phone, message. One is going to be person. So this is the team member. So we want to make sure that the function name or the tool name matches up to what we've already specified in the prompt. And then the description. This will also be available for you to copy, so you won't need to write it out, but basically we're just giving a description. The forward message tool automatically forwards caller details to the designated team member using the make.com scenario. Okay, so that's our final tool set up on Vapi side, but let's just head back over to Vape or to Make and have a look at this final setup. So we have our webhook set up. The router is just directing actions in a sequence. So, and it also allows us to add in a filter here. So for example here, you can see this is filtering for a message for David. So if a message is for David and in the recipient field they detect David, then it'll go to this module. Same down here, this is a message for Anna. So if the recipient field includes Anna or is equal to Anna, then it will use this module. So basically then this just allows us to make sure that the email we're sending is to the correct person. So for David, for example, I would have David's email in here because he is the recipient of this email. For the subject, we're going to include this message. So we're taking the name of the caller and say name left a message for you. And then in the actual content of the email, it's going to say new message from AI Receptionist. Name tried to call you and left a message. Here are the details. We're including the phone number, and then we're including the message that they left. Don't worry if these are not highlighted for you. If you named the properties correctly and followed the same structure that I did, then once you use the webhook for the first time and pass information through, then everything will line up. So the main thing that you need to do is just make sure that your property names are named as I have, and also add the email address for the team member that you want to actually send the message to. So that's the first one. And then the second is the exact same. You just need to replace the email here and it will have the same subject line, same message. Okay, so we're basically on the home stretch now. We have set up our assistant, we've added a custom knowledge base, we've created 3 different tools, and now all we're going to do is really fine-tune your AI to make it as realistic and as effective as possible. So to do this, let's head back over to Vapi and I'll talk you through the different elements here. To start, you can select your provider here. I would recommend sticking with OpenAI. It's probably the one that most people are familiar with, and for the model, I would select 4.0 mini. You can downgrade to 3.5 if you like, but to be honest, there's not much difference in the price. Next, we have the knowledge base. We've already added our documents there, so we don't need to do anything else. For temperature, this is really how much space you give the AI to go off script. So how creative do you want it to be? Do you want it to really stick to what you said in the instructions, or do you want it to be able to kind of come up with its own sentences or phrases? So with temperature, it's really about testing. So I would recommend setting it and talking to your assistant, seeing what the feedback is like, and then adjusting your temperature however you want. So for this, I think 0.7 is fine. So we'll leave it there. Max tokens, you can leave at 250. And detect emotion we want on. So this just gives the AI a little bit more context to how someone's feeling, if they're angry, if they're happy. So it's good to have that on just to give it that extra context. Next, we're going to look at the transcriber. DeepGram seems to me to be the best, and the only thing we need to change here would be change this to Nova 2 phone call. Of course, you can also change the language here if you're working with a different language. There's a lot of different languages to choose from. For this example, we'll stick with English. Okay, next we're going to look at the voice configuration, and this is a really important part of your AI assistant. The voice that you choose will really dictate how the conversation sounds, how natural the conversation feels to the user. So it's definitely worth spending some time testing out some voices, finding what's right for you, and really understanding what's the right voice for your use case. So you can choose your provider here. You have a lot of different options to choose from, and then you can choose the voice. There's a lot of different providers. Some are cheaper than others, but one of the ones that I would recommend the most and that I found the most natural voices on is 11 Labs. So with 11 Labs, you actually have access to a voice library where you can go in there and you can go through all the different voices. You can you can filter by gender. You can also filter by accent, and it's definitely worth spending some time going in there and just playing all the voices. They have little snippets that you can test out so you can really hear what the voice sounds like and understand if it's the right one for you. A lot of them can be very expressive. Some of them are like narrator voices for audiobooks and things. So what you want to do is avoid ones that sound a little bit too unrealistic. You want one that sounds natural and engaging, but definitely recommend spending some time going through the 11 Labs voice library, finding the right one for you, and it will really make a difference to your AI assistant. For the sake of this example, I'm going to select one that I've used before and that I really like, which is Emily. So this is a really great voice that I've used before, and for the model we're going to do 11 Turbo V2. Next we have some additional configurations related to the voice, so you can add some background noise if you like. There's an option here for an office which has people talking on the phone, some keyboards, and it can, I guess, make your AI assistant sound more real, like it's calling from an office. Personally, I find it a little bit distracting, so I tend not to use it, but really depends on your use case. Next, you have filler injection and back channeling, and these are like small phrases like or yeah that the AI will insert into the conversation to make it sound a little bit more natural, like a normal person would back and forth. Personally, I find it does it a little bit too much, and I kind of find it a little bit distracting, but feel free to test it out and see if it's right for you. For background denoising, you want to turn this on. This will help if a person is calling from a noisy location and there's a lot of background noise. You want the AI to be able to understand what's actually being said, so we want to try and filter out as much of that background noise as possible. Next we have stability, clarity and similarity, and style exaggeration. And these will really depend on the voice you've selected, but also how expressive you want it to be. So you can play around with these. The best thing to do is really to test it. For stability, if you turn this down, it will be more expressive, and if you turn it up, it'll be a little bit more stable, but perhaps a little bit monotone. So somewhere probably in the middle is the right solution there. Clarity and similarity, again, you want to have some difference in the voice in different pitches, but if you turn this up too high, there can start to be some breaks in the conversation, some artifacts in the background. So I would recommend keeping this as high as possible for like a different range in the conversation, but don't have it too high because you'll start to get those artifacts. Same for style exaggeration. You want to have some style exaggeration. You want it to feel like this person is listening to what you're saying and is kind of engaging, and the style of the conversation or the pitch of their voice is varied. So if you have none, it'll be faster, it'll be lower latency, but you do want to have this around 0.2 or 0.3 just so it feels good. Again, you really do want to test this. It will depend a lot on the voice that you choose. So I would recommend configuring your settings, publishing it, talking to your assistant, seeing how it works, and that's really the best way to find. Okay, next we have functions. Not really much to do on this page. You just need to select the tools that you've built. So we've built 3 and we've selected them here. So just to make sure that your AI assistant actually has access to them. If you ever run into an issue where it's not working, sometimes you can forget to select your tools here. So just make sure all available tools are selected. Next we have enable end call function. So if you want the AI to be able to end the call on its side, you can turn this on. And you can also have some end call phrases here. So if you want to control what the AI says when it's closing a conversation, have a nice day, goodbye, anything like that, you can just type that in there. Next, under advanced, we have a few settings related to privacy. So this is the HIPAA compliance. So this is really if you're working with someone in the medical field or perhaps a law firm where you have to keep user data or call recordings private and confidential, you would turn this on. In that case, there's no logs, there's no recordings, there's no transcriptions of the conversation. So you're not really going to be able to analyze what happens after the call. So in most cases, unless it's a private situation where you can't store that information, you're going to want to keep this off, and you're going to want to keep audio recording on. If you are working in the medical field or an area where you have to keep these things private, obviously you'll have to turn the HIPAA compliance on. Video recording, unless you have a specific use case where you're using video, you will leave this off. And next we're going to get into some settings to control how the AI engages in the conversation. These can be helpful for making sure there's not a lot of interruptions and it sounds a little bit more natural. So wait seconds, how long does the assistant wait before speaking? I tend to have this around 1 second. You can really play around with this and find what's right, but you want to have a little bit of space in between when the person stops talking and the assistant starts talking, to make it sound kind of natural. If you want to turn smart endpointing off, you can start to play around with these settings and have a little bit more control, but this will just basically allow the AI to find or identify ends of sentences itself in a smarter way. So it's probably a little bit easier, saves you some time if you just want to have that on. Stop speaking plan. So this is really your control over when the assistant will stop speaking. So how many words should the user say, should the caller say before the assistant stops talking? So if you have this at 1 and it says okay, the AI will continue talking. If it says okay, but then the assistant will stop talking. So I think 2 or 3 is fine, and it will just help keep the conversation natural. If the customer is speaking and continues their sentence, then you want the AI to be able to stop. Same with seconds. It's really the same as number of words, it's just the amount of time the user has to speak before the assistant stops talking. So again, you can just find what seems right by testing out your assistant. And then how long will the assistant wait before it starts speaking after it's been interrupted? So 1 or 2 seconds is probably right, whatever feels most natural when you're talking to the assistant. Next, this is to control if the call is timing out or how long the call will actually go on for. So silence timeout, the call will basically end after a certain amount of seconds if nothing is being said. So probably anywhere between 30 seconds and 60 seconds is fine. Anything longer than that is probably too long. Because we have a booking in function where we're asking someone to book, schedule their meeting, we're going to increase this slightly, just to give them space to confirm their booking while we stay on the line. We don't want the AI to hang up while they're doing that, but it really depends on what's going on in the call. And then maximum duration, this is number of seconds, 1800, which is 30 minutes. It's a long time to be on a call. So I would recommend cutting that down quite a bit, and probably somewhere closer to 600 or 800, which is probably 10 or 12 minutes. It's a long time to be on a call, and I don't think most use cases will go on that long. So probably best to keep the max duration somewhere in that range. Otherwise, it can start to cost you a lot for someone to be on the phone for that long. Okay, under messaging, you have a server URL. This is where you can add a webhook if you want to process the end of call report. For this example, we're not going to get into that. For client messages, you also don't need this, only for specific use cases. If you're processing end of call reports, what information do you want to pass? You can select that from the drop down here. So this is the information that you want to actually be able to analyze afterwards. For your voicemail message, this is probably more suitable for an outbound caller. If you want to leave a message when you can't get through to the person, you can leave a specific message right here. And then for the end of call message, what you want the AI to say if the call is ended. Finally, we have idle messages. So if the assistant or if the caller hasn't responded, you can actually select some messages like, hey, are you still there? Let me know if there's anything else you need. So you can select the different messages that the AI will follow up with. How many idle messages? will it say before the call is ended? I think probably like 2 or 3, and then how many seconds before an idle message is spoken. So how long do you want to wait? You obviously don't want to start saying, hey, are you still there, when the user is still talking or has just responded. So you probably want to have like maybe 10 seconds here. Again, something just to test. For analysis, this is where you start to process the end of call reports. I'm not really going to go through all of that now. So that is really an overview of all of the settings. The main thing I would recommend is to play around with it. You're going to need to edit your prompt. You're probably going to need to adjust some of the settings, but continuously publish and talk to your assistant. And really the best way to make sure that everything is working and sounding as natural as possible is to talk with your assistant and then edit. If you find it's missing details or you don't really like how it's handling conversations, then you can edit your prompt. If you find that it's interrupting you quite a lot or you don't like the voice, then you can obviously go back into your settings and adjust some things there. But yeah, that is everything on the settings side, and that's really bringing us to the end of this video. Okay, that is the end of the video. It was definitely a long one, so if you made it this far, fair play. It's a lot to take in, but hopefully by now you have figured out any issues that you might have experienced along the way. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about how AI assistants work, and you've got a little bit more comfortable with Vapi and Make. And really that's just a starting point. There's so much that you can do with these tools. You have a template now that you can edit and probably duplicate, create different agents with different scenarios, different use cases. So I really hope you took something from this video. If you did, it would really mean a lot to me if you'd give it a like. And if you want to follow along for more videos on AI assistants, I'll definitely be posting more very shortly. So if that's what you're interested in, please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.